Have you ever heard a song? One that gave you chills, not because of the lyrics, but because you knew it, even though it didn't exist? This is the story of that song, a melody with no origin, lyrics with no writer. And yet, it lives in the memories of strangers across the world. What if I told you that hundreds of people remember a song, the same lyrics, the same chorus, but it was never written, never recorded, never released? This is more than the Mandela effect. This is a glitch, a crack in the simulation. And today, we'll dive into 5 real stories of people who remember this same impossible song. This is the song that doesn't exist, but everyone knows it. Story 1. The Forgotten Radio. Lena, 28, UK. It was a cold, misty night in October 2015. Lena had just left her friend's house after a small get-together in the countryside outside of Yorkshire. The roads were narrow, quiet, and barely lit, winding through farmland that seemed to stretch into blackness on either side. It was just her old hatchback, and the sound of her fingers tapping the steering wheel to break the silence. Bored, she flipped on the radio, searching for any station that came through the static. Most were crackling messes, buried under interference. But then, one station broke through. Crystal clear, like it had been waiting for her. A soft guitar intro faded in, warm, melancholic, almost familiar. Then came the voice. Female, gentle, raw. The lyrics stopped her breath cold. We never got to say goodbye / so I haunt you in the quiet sky. She felt an overwhelming ache in her chest, a sadness that didn't feel entirely her own. The lyrics resonated with a part of her she hadn't visited in years. The death of her childhood friend Emily. The unsaid things. The final message left unread. Lena pulled over to the side of the road, headlights dim against the fog, and sat there, in the dark, with the song washing over her like a memory she wasn't supposed to remember. Tears fell freely. She didn't know why exactly, only that this song was meant for her. But as the song ended, something strange happened. There was no DJ, no advertisement, no station ID. Just static. She scrambled to Shazam it. No result. Thinking it might be a local indie artist, she called the station number listed on their site the next morning. The man who answered was kind but confused. We didn't broadcast anything like that last night, he said. We had technical issues. The signal was down between 1 and 4 am. You must have caught another station on Bleedover. But Lena knew what she heard. She remembered the melody, every word, even the bridge. You trace my name in falling rain / I whisper back but sound like pain. Still haunted, she turned to Reddit. She typed out her experience in a post titled, "Heard a song on the radio last night that doesn't seem to exist. Anyone else?" She included the lyrics she remembered, the melody, even her attempt to hum it, recorded and uploaded for others to hear. For a week, nothing. Then suddenly, replies started flooding in. "Oh my God, I heard this song when I was 16. Swore it was by a girl named Ari, or something. I remembered this chorus. I dreamed it when my grandmother died. Thought I was going crazy. I heard this in 2008 after my breakup. I've searched for it ever since. It doesn't exist." How do we all know it? Over 400 comments in total. Different countries, different years. But the same lyrics, same melody, same pain. People began sharing drawings, voice memos, even old notebooks where they'd written down snatches of the lyrics years before Lena ever posted them. But still, no artist, no trace of the song online. Music forums couldn't identify it. Musicians said it didn't match any known chord progression. Some began speculating. Was it an AI leak? A shared hallucination? Or a fragment of something not from here? Then came the eeriest comment of all, from a user who soon deleted their account. This song wasn't written. It was remembered. To this day, Lena says she hasn't heard the song again. But every now and then, when the night is quiet and she's driving alone, she flips through the radio channels, hoping to find it again. The song that doesn't exist, but somehow everyone remembers. Story 2. The Childhood Memory. Zaid, 32, Pakistan. There are some songs we carry with us, not in playlists or saved files, but deep inside, etched into the folds of memory. For Zaid, that song had no title, no singer, no known origin. But it lived with him since he was 7. Back in the late 90s, Zaid would hum a gentle lullaby as he played with his toy trains before bed. The tune always came to him when the room was dark and still, not learned, not taught, just there, like it had arrived from another place. Ride the moonlight silver train, past the stars and through the rain. He'd sing it softly, rocking himself to sleep. To him, it was just his lullaby, a secret comfort, like a warm nightlight in song form. Years later, as a teenager, he casually mentioned it to his mother while helping her in the kitchen. "You used to sing me that train song, right?" She paused, puzzled. "What song?" "You know, the one with the silver train in the sky." She shook her head. "Beta, I've never sung anything like that." Zaid laughed it off at the time. Memory plays tricks, right? But that melody never left. He hummed it to himself when he was nervous, whistled it during exams. He even used the rhythm to soothe his younger cousins when they cried. None of them recognized it, but somehow it always calmed them down. Then came the moment everything changed in March 2021, during a late-night scroll on TikTok. A random video popped up on his For You page. It was just a short animation, a glowing train crossing a starry sky, rendered in surreal, dreamlike style. But the soundtrack, a haunting, humming melody played softly in the background. No words, just the tune. Zaid froze. He knew it instantly, note for note. It was his lullaby. He replayed the video over and over. He didn't realize he was crying until the screen blurred with tears. He dove into the comments. What he found gave him chills far deeper than nostalgia. "Why does this sound so familiar? I sang this as a kid. I thought I made it up. My grandmother used to hum this before bed. She said it came from her dreams. I have no idea where I've heard this, but it makes me want to cry." Thousands of likes, hundreds of comments, from people all over the world. Different ages, different languages. Same song. Even weirder, when someone traced the audio back to its source, it turned out to be generated by an obscure AI music tool designed to create ambient tracks from randomized input seeds. It wasn't trained on any public data. It didn't sample human vocals. It didn't have lyrics to begin with. It was, according to its developer, a spontaneous melodic structure generated by the algorithm. No human had written it. And yet, hundreds, possibly thousands of people across the globe remembered it from childhood. How? Was it part of some old cartoon, perhaps forgotten? No, Zaid searched extensively. He posted on forums, subreddits, contacted music archivists. The answer was always the same. We've never seen anything like this. Some began calling it the Silver Train song. Others said it was part of the shared dream theory, the idea that we all access the same subconscious space in early childhood. Zaid's theory is simpler and scarier. I don't think I ever learned that song. I think I remembered it from something I lived before. To this day, when he hears trains passing in the night, Zaid sometimes thinks he hears the tune faintly, as if writing the tracks between worlds. Because maybe, just maybe, some songs aren't written in studios. Maybe they're written in the stars, or the space between dreams, waiting to be remembered by those who've already heard them once, somewhere else. Story 3. The Music Box in the Wall. Nina, 40, New York. There are things you expect to find during a home renovation. Rusted pipes, forgotten photographs, maybe a dead rat or two. But not a music box hidden inside the wall. It was early spring in Brooklyn when Nina and her husband finally decided to renovate the basement of their 80-year-old townhouse. The space had been untouched for decades, damp, dusty, and full of forgotten things. One Saturday afternoon, while removing cracked brickwork near an old support beam, they noticed something odd. Behind a layer of crumbling plaster was a small wooden box, wedged neatly into the cavity between two bricks. It was sealed with a brittle strip of yellowed fabric, as if someone had tucked it away deliberately and long ago. They pulled it out. Music box. Dark wood. Hand-carved. A faded silver key protruded from the back, and on top, inlaid with remarkable detail, was the image of a child sleeping beneath a silver crescent moon. It looked antique, delicate. Nina gently turned the key, and it began to play. A slow, eerie lullaby. The melody was beautiful, but unsettling, haunting, in a way she couldn't explain. Not sad, exactly, not even dark. Just familiar, like something from the edge of a forgotten dream. As the song played, her 9-year-old daughter Emily, who had been coloring on the stairs, suddenly looked up, her face pale. "That's the song from my dream," she whispered. Nina blinked. "What dream?" "The one I keep having, where I'm floating in the dark. And there's a lady humming this, over and over." Chills ran through Nina's body. She recorded the music box on her phone, thinking it was a strange coincidence. Later that evening, she uploaded the video to her small YouTube channel, titling it, "Creepy Music Box Found in Wall. Can anyone identify the tune?" It was up for less than 10 minutes. Then it was taken down. Not for copyright infringement by a known artist. Not due to music rights by a company, but by an automated flag citing matched copyright content, with no artist, no composer, no publisher. Just a bizarre alphanumeric string of numbers and letters in the copyright holder field. She received a warning email minutes later. No YouTube branding. No reply to address. Just plain text. "Do not pursue this melody." That night, Nina went to replay the recording on her phone. The file was gone. Not just deleted, gone from iCloud, too. No trace, no backup, no cached version. She checked the recycle bin, the Google Drive sync, even her SD card. Nothing. The next day, her daughter refused to enter the basement. When asked why, Emily simply said, "She's down there now. The lady who sings the song." Disturbed but curious, Nina posted on a paranormal forum about what happened. One user, a retired audio technician, commented something she'd never forget. "I worked for a media archive in the late 90s. We came across a tape once with a similar melody. Unmarked. Analog hiss. Music box quality. When we tried to digitize it, the computers crashed. We nicknamed it the Forgotten Cradle. We weren't allowed to keep it." Others chimed in with similar stories, faint memories of hearing that exact tune in dreams, during fevers, even while in hospitals under sedation. A few described sleep paralysis events, where the only sound was that music box melody, playing in a loop. One user even claimed, "That song doesn't belong to our world. It leaks through when the veil gets thin." Nina never posted about it again. She keeps the music box in a locked drawer, wrapped in cloth. She hasn't wound it since. But sometimes, in the dead of night, she swears she hears it playing faintly from the basement. And Emily? She still dreams of the floating dark, and the woman who hums. The song that shouldn't exist. The song no one should record. The song someone or something doesn't want us to hear. Story 4. The Headphones That Lied. Rafael, 25, Brazil. Some songs hit you unexpectedly, in the background of life, in a moment you weren't even paying attention. For Rafael, it happened at 2:13 a.m., during yet another all-nighter cramming for his college exams in São Paulo. He was at his desk, eyes bloodshot, neck stiff, and a playlist running on low volume through his noise-canceling headphones. It was one of those massive Spotify shuffle mixes, a blend of ambient study tracks and chill electronic beats, designed to blur into the background. Until it didn't. It started with a low rumble, almost like interference, and then morphed into something breathtaking. A deep, glitchy synth that pulsed like a heartbeat, layered with faint whispers and echoing piano chords. And then, the voice. Feminine but distorted, almost digital, like someone trapped behind static. In the static, I hear you breathe. In the glitch, you're holding me. Raphael stopped writing. His mind sharpened. There was something different about this track, the way it wrapped around him, like déjà vu wrapped in sound. He glanced down at his screen. Blank. No track name, no album, no artist, just a buffering circle flickering for a second before returning to the next song. Confused, he clicked back to try and replay it. But instead of going back, the player jumped forward 3 songs. Then again, and again. The track was gone. It hadn't been saved, not in history, not in recently played. Spotify support claimed it must have been a sync glitch. But Raphael remembered the lyrics perfectly. He couldn't get them out of his head. In the static, I hear you breathe / in the glitch, you're holding me. The next day, still obsessed, he tried humming it to his friends. And that's when things got strange. One friend, Camilla, tilted her head. Wait, that's real. I've heard that. I think, in a dream. Another classmate from Chile said, I swear my sister sings that to her baby niece. Same words, but in Spanish. And then, a friend visiting from Korea started singing along in Korean. Same melody, same chorus, different languages, same song. None of them could recall where they learned it. Not a single person could name the artist. But all of them agreed they'd heard it before. Raphael scoured the internet. He searched every genre: dream pop, glitch wave, AI ambient, low-fi synth ballads. He used melody detection tools, fed the lyrics into databases, posted in subreddits. Nothing. One post on r/glitchinthematrix got over 6,000 upvotes. I heard this song last week, same chorus. Except I remember it from when I was in a coma 5 years ago. I thought it was just part of my hallucinations. I'm shaking right now. Another user uploaded a version they had recorded from memory. It was hauntingly close. But when Raphael clicked on it the next day, it was removed for copyright infringement. The copyright notice: an unknown claimant with a name that looked more like code than words. A 0 on a 94x1 originless. Raphael began to wonder. What if this wasn't a real track at all? What if it was a signal bleeding in from somewhere else? From another reality? Or a memory none of them were supposed to keep? He kept hearing it at night, not through speakers, but inside his dreams. It would start faintly, like someone humming through water. Always the same 2 lines. In the static, I hear you breathe as a glitch, you're holding me. Sometimes, he'd wake up with tears on his cheeks, heart racing, but strangely at peace. He stopped using Spotify for a while. But one night, after forgetting to disconnect his Bluetooth headphones, his speaker clicked on in the middle of the night. And that song played again. This time, from a device that wasn't turned on. To this day, Raphael doesn't know if he found the song, or if the song found him. But now, when he listens to music, he always watches the screen, just in case the buffering circle returns. Because that song wasn't an accident. It was a whisper through the noise. Signal from the unknown. And maybe, somewhere beyond the glitch, someone's still listening. Story 5. The Shared Dream. Kavita, 33, India. Some dreams feel random. Others feel like messages. But then there are the rare few that feel like memories from a life you never lived. That's what Kavita experienced. It started quietly, no build-up, no warning. One night in early June, she drifted into sleep after a long, stressful week. She didn't expect anything unusual, but what awaited her was anything but ordinary. In her dream, she found herself standing in a vast white space, not quite a room, because there were no walls, no corners, no ceiling. Just a soft, endless white glow all around her, as if she were floating inside a cloud made of silence. In the center of it all sat a man, dressed in old-fashioned clothing, playing a worn-out black piano. His face was unclear, like her memory refused to hold onto his features, but the music was vivid. It was soft, melancholic, strange. And then he sang, slowly, painfully. You were never real, but I still miss you. Kavita felt a pain in her chest. Not fear, not confusion, but something deeper, like she had just lost someone she wasn't supposed to remember. She woke up gasping, eyes wet with tears, her heart pounding. The words clung to her mind like a stain. "You were never real, but I still miss you." She tried to brush it off, a product of exhaustion, maybe. But the dream came again the next week. Same white room. Same piano. Same song. Only this time, the man looked up. His mouth never moved, but she heard him in her head. "You're not supposed to be here yet." Disturbed and deeply curious, Kavita began researching. She searched forums, lucid dream communities, subreddits, anything. Eventually, she stumbled upon a small Discord server titled Songs from Dreams. It had around 200 members. A quiet, obscure community. People who documented melodies, lyrics, and audio hallucinations that came to them during sleep. She joined and posted her experience, hesitant, unsure if anyone would understand. But then, just 20 minutes later, someone replied, "Wait, was the room white? Was he playing a black piano?" She froze. Then another voice note appeared. A guy from Canada humming a haunting tune. It was the same melody, note for note. More people came forward. From Germany, Chile, South Africa, Malaysia, Poland, Turkey. I saw the same man, same room, but I was sitting next to him. He told me, "You almost remembered too much." My dream ended when I tried to sing along. I woke up coughing. That line, it broke me. "You were never real, but I still miss you." Within 48 hours, the server exploded. Over 60 people from 14 countries, most of whom had never met, shared identical experiences. Some posted sketches of the man. Some recreated the piano tune on instruments. One woman claimed she'd written the entire chorus years ago in a diary, though she couldn't explain how. One user, a neuroscientist, theorized that the dream might be part of a shared cognitive artifact, a collective mnemonic loop left behind by a forgotten memory. Another had a darker idea. What if it's not a dream at all? What if we're remembering something from a version of ourselves that no longer exists? And then, the unthinkable happened. The server vanished overnight. Every user banned. Every thread deleted. Every file wiped. Even backup bots returned corrupt zip files filled with gibberish and random black and white images, one of which, oddly, showed a blurred piano in a white room. Kavita received no warnings, no explanations. Just a silent void where a chorus once echoed. She doesn't talk about the dream publicly anymore, but she still hears it. In crowded cafes, she sometimes catches someone humming it softly under their breath. In an airport once, she saw a boy tapping the piano melody with his fingers on a seatbelt. When she asked him where he learned it, he simply said, "I don't remember. Maybe in a dream?" So now, let's ask the real question. Is this just mass coincidence? A digital age hallucination? A freak version of the Mandela effect? Or have we stumbled upon a memory? Not of this life, but of something adjacent, something that bleeds through when we close our eyes, a message from a place where you were real, and someone out there still misses you. This was the song that doesn't exist, but everyone knows it. Stay curious. Stay awake. Because maybe this isn't the only song waiting to be remembered. Story 6. The vinyl that shouldn't exist. Ibrahim, 41, Egypt. There are collectors. And then there are obsessives, the kind who spend decades scouring dusty basements, abandoned record stores, and forgotten flea markets, all for the chance to discover that one vinyl, rare, untouched, pure. Ibrahim was one of them. For over 20 years, he had collected obscure records across North Africa and Europe. Jazz, soul, experimental, anything lost to time, buried in crates no one cared to dig through. In 2022, on a blazing afternoon in Luxor, Egypt, he stumbled across a flea market tucked behind an old train station. Most stalls were the usual: cracked radios, rusted army gear, fake antiques. But then, there it was. A single vinyl record, hidden at the bottom of a box filled with broken clocks. It had no label, no artist, no sleeve, only a strange, etched symbol at its center, like a spiral interrupted by sharp angles, impossible to decipher. He bought it for the equivalent of $2. It felt heavy, Ibrahim would later recall, like it was holding more than just music. That evening, in his small flat in Cairo, he carefully placed it on his turntable, expecting static or silence. Instead, the speakers whispered to life with the richest jazz he had ever heard. Slow saxophone, dreamlike piano, a beat that swayed like smoke. It wasn't just beautiful. It felt personal, like the music was breathing in sync with him, as if the rhythm knew his heartbeat. But midway through, the instruments faded. And then, faintly, a woman's voice emerged. Not singing, whispering. We danced until the time reset, and woke in lives we'd never met. Ibrahim froze. There was something too close about her voice, intimate, as if she was speaking just inches from his ear. He tried to Shazam it. Nothing. He ran it through audio fingerprinting software. No match. So he contacted a friend, a music historian from Alexandria, and brought him the vinyl. They listened together in silence. The expert leaned forward, squinting at the grooves under magnification, then said, uneasily, "This pressing technique, it's not from the 60s. It's not from any known decade. These grooves aren't standard. They bend." "They bend?" Ibrahim asked. "Yes, slightly spiral inward, like time encoded into sound." A week later, Ibrahim decided to play it again. But something had changed. The melody was similar, same instruments, but different chords. A shift in tone. More melancholic. And the voice returned. This time, she said his name. "Ibrahim, we met before the reset. But you don't remember the water, do you?" He yanked the needle up. His hands were shaking. No one, not even close friends, knew about the lake, the one he nearly drowned in as a child during a family trip to Siwa. He hadn't spoken about it in decades. He examined the record again. Under a stronger light, more symbols appeared, almost microscopic etchings along the edges. Foreign, alien, like musical notation from a civilization that didn't exist. He tried recording the audio that night, but each file came out distorted, glitched. Sometimes the waveforms reversed themselves. Once, the software crashed completely, leaving behind only a folder titled, "Before Mueller Forgot." He didn't create that folder. Now, the record sits locked in a wooden case, buried in his closet, sealed with tape and personal prayers. But Ibrahim still dreams about it. In his sleep, the woman's voice returns, more vivid each time. You were part of something. Before the veil. Before the static. Sometimes, he wakes up with the melody still playing in his ears. Other times, it's his name, echoing softly from somewhere inside the vinyl, even though it's not playing. No one has ever found another copy. No collector has seen that symbol again. And perhaps that's for the best. Because some records aren't made to be heard. They're made to be remembered. Or perhaps, to remember us. The song that doesn't exist, but everyone knows it. Some songs don't come from our world. And when they play, you're never quite the same again. Story 7. The Burned CD from Nowhere. Heather, 36, Canada. High school is full of small mysteries, anonymous notes, locker pranks, secret admirers. Most of them fade with time, swallowed by the blur of adolescence. But some things stay with you. Some things follow you. And for Heather, it all started with a CD. It was 2004. She was 16. The day began like any other second period gym class, third period math. But when she returned to her locker at lunch, she noticed something sitting inside, something that hadn't been there before. A plain burned CD, no case, no cover art. Just a scribbled label in thin blue marker. Track 8, remember. She laughed at first. Probably a prank, someone trying to mess with her. Still, curiosity got the better of her. After school, she popped the disc into her chunky silver Walkman and skipped straight to track 8. What played was not what she expected. It wasn't rock or punk or even pop. It was a soft, piano-led ballad, minimalistic, raw, and hauntingly beautiful. A woman's voice, delicate but worn, as though she was singing through tears, carried a melody that wrapped itself around Heather's chest like a memory that didn't belong to her. The lyrics, "You'll forget me by the morning / but I'll still be singing here." Heather paused, rewound it, played it again. The words made no sense to her. And yet, they hit her like a wave. Her heart ached. Her eyes welled up. And for no logical reason, she cried. Not just the first time. Every time. She tried to talk about it with friends. "It's just a sad song," they'd say. "You're probably just going through stuff." But it wasn't just sad. It felt too specific. Like the voice wasn't singing a song, but speaking directly to her. Years passed. Heather graduated, moved cities, changed jobs. But she never threw the CD away. It followed her through every apartment, every storage box, every forgotten drawer. At 30, during a rainy weekend spent reorganizing old tech, she found the CD again. She decided to digitize it, partly for nostalgia, partly because she feared one day it might stop working entirely. She connected it to her laptop, opened her audio editor, and imported track 8. The waveform looked normal until she zoomed in. There were strange modulation patterns buried in the frequency layers, almost rhythmic, repeating. Curious, she ran the audio through a spectrogram analyzer, a tool that converts sound frequencies into visual patterns. What appeared on the screen made her drop her coffee. In the center of the image was a blurry black and white photo. Girl's face. Wide eyes, short bangs, missing tooth, wearing a butterfly clip. It was her. Not now, not recently, but her as a child, maybe 6 or 7 years old. The photo wasn't from a school yearbook, not from her family albums. It was a picture she had never seen before. "This can't be real," she whispered. "How did this get here?" She ran the rest of the track through the spectrogram again. More images. Not just her, but glimpses of her old bedroom, a stuffed bear she lost in 2nd grade, and a still frame of her mother, smiling, frozen in time. Embedded in the song. Hidden in the sound. Desperate for answers, Heather turned to online forums. She uploaded the image, shared the lyrics, asked if anyone had received a similar CD. Within a week, her post was deleted. Her account was locked. A private message appeared from a blank user profile. It was not meant to be found again. You remembered too clearly. She tried replaying the track. Now, it only returned static. The file was corrupted. The CD, once clear and crisp, now produced nothing but a warped hiss, as if it had burned itself out. To this day, Heather doesn't know who left the CD in her locker. She never found another copy. No music database recognizes the lyrics. No voice match has ever surfaced. But sometimes, when she walks alone at night with earbuds in, a faint piano melody emerges behind whatever playlist she's listening to. And if she listens closely, she swears she hears the voice again, a little older, a little sadder, whispering, "You don't remember me yet, but I never left." Some songs don't fade with time. Some songs remember us, even when we forget them. This is the song that doesn't exist, but everyone knows it. Story 8. The Tune in the Elevator. Kenji, 27. Japan. Tokyo never truly sleeps. But the 28th floor of the Kaihin Shinsei Tower, a sterile, steel and glass business block in Shibuya, came eerily close. Kenji, a junior systems engineer, often found himself alone in that building long after midnight. His job demanded late-night server monitoring, code deployment, and caffeine-fueled debugging marathons. The elevator was usually the last human interaction he had before facing the hum of server rooms and the glare of fluorescent lights. It was during one of those long, lonely nights that he heard it. The elevator arrived with its usual ding, its metal doors gliding open with a hiss. But as Kenji stepped inside, something was different. From the speaker above came a soft, looping tune, gentle, dreamy, almost nostalgic. A lo-fi lullaby, with slight vinyl crackles and distant wind chimes. The kind of song you couldn't place but felt like you'd heard in a dream. He looked up at the speaker, puzzled. The elevator's small digital panel read, "No audio source, maintenance mode," which made no sense. Company policy prohibited background music during after hours, and maintenance mode usually silenced all systems, no announcements, no tones, no elevator music. But the tune played anyway. Kenji stood still, letting the music wrap around him. It was simple, a few piano notes, a soft hum, and a distant rhythmic tap like fingers on a desk. But it gave him a strange feeling, not fear, but a soft ache. Like the sound was pulling a memory forward, one he didn't even know he had. By the time he reached the 28th floor, the music faded, as though it had never been there at all. He pulled out his phone and hit record, just in time to catch the last few seconds of the melody before it vanished. That night, curiosity wouldn't let him sleep. Kenji cleaned the recording, trimmed the static, and uploaded it anonymously to a private forum he frequented, a haven for sound designers, field recordists, and ambient composers. He titled the post, "Unidentified Elevator Tune Lo-Fi Lullaby. Help Needed." Within minutes, a user commented, "Wait, that's mine." Kenji blinked. The user's name was Shironsuke, a mid-tier musician from Osaka known for ambient experiments. "I made this in 2019. Never released it. Just a personal draft I messed with in Ableton and deleted. No backups. No uploads. No sharing. It was just for me." Kenji replied, confused. "Are you sure? How did it end up in an elevator in Tokyo?" "I don't know," came the final message. "I swear it was never meant to be heard by anyone else. This gives me chills." The next day, Shionekawa's account was gone. All posts deleted. Even Google caches returned empty results. Then the elevator music stopped. Not just the lullaby, but all sound. No buttons beeped. No arrival tones. Just silent motion. When Kenji asked the building's security about it, they simply said, "There hasn't been audio in those elevators for years. The speakers are disconnected." He showed them the recording. They brushed it off. Probably a phone app glitch, or maybe someone pranking you. But Kenji knew better. The tune was too precise, too intentional, too full of something he couldn't explain, like longing or recognition. One evening, he slowed down the recording and ran it through a spectrogram analysis. Hidden in the waveforms, barely noticeable, were faint vertical streaks forming characters. It took him days, but he finally translated them. It was kana, an archaic Japanese script, spelling just 3 words: "I remember you." Since then, Kenji avoids that elevator at night. But sometimes, when he stands alone in other buildings or passes quiet stairwells in the city, he hears it again. Soft, subtle, a lo-fi lullaby, playing from nowhere. And if he listens long enough, he swears the melody changes, as if it's evolving, as if it's listening back. Some music isn't created, it's recalled. From dreams, from glitches, from somewhere we're not meant to access. This is the song that doesn't exist, but everyone knows it.